How can time crunch founders run affordable marketing experiments on their own without spending a lot of money on big marketing teams or on ads? Today's guest, Karla Singson, is going to share some of her top tips with us. In fact, she hosted a discussion down at DC, Mexico, where DCers came to the room and shared these little tips and tricks and tactics that are working to get new clients in 2025. And best of all, you can test them out yourself to see if they work before you put capital behind it. So in today's episode, she'll share those tips with you. Plus, we're going to talk about how she thinks about offers, her experience closing hundreds of sales calls over the years, and also some of her top insights into the outsourcing space in 2025. So all that and more on today's conversation. Let's roll it now. What's your name and what is it that you do?
So my name is Karla Singson. I run proximityoutsourcing.com. We help fast-growing online businesses and agencies find managerial creative talent in the Philippines and in Latin America.
And where are you right now today in the world?
Right now, I'm based in beautiful, sunny Playa del Carmen, Mexico.
I know you have a lot of things going on. Maybe you could let us know, what does the enterprise look like right now?
Yeah. So I have two legs actually in my business. One is we have recruitment, where we recruit managerial, creative, and tech roles in the Philippines and in Latin America. And the other one is outsourcing, which is a much bigger business. And we recruit, we place, manage, we onboard. We also take care of ongoing upskilling and skills development of managerial, creative, and tech talent for fast growth online businesses and agencies.
Okay, so this is kind of interesting. So in the recruiting outsourcing space, there's a lot of like marketing language going back and forth. Like the placement firms will say the outsourcing firms suck, and the outsourcing firms will say the placement firms suck. Could you give us a high level of what you see the pros and cons of each, and, you know, like bring us into this world from someone who's actually doing it?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because even the term placement is a little confusing, right? Like, what is that? What does that mean? Like, that word is being used in so many industries. So I would say the difference between recruitment and outsourcing, kind of pros and cons. I would highly recommend outsourcing for companies that don't have their own HR, as in human resource development and management. This is not merely recruitment. It also involves onboarding. It also involves additional upskilling. It involves actual team care, asking them what's about. If their dad passed away, giving them proper PTO and a proper bereavement support, like things like that. And if a company doesn't have that, I would highly recommend that they go with an outsourcing company that takes care of all of that. Because not only will you find a person who's more likely a very good fit for what you're needing in terms of skills, experience, most importantly, personality and culture fit. That is very, very important. But also you are assured that someone's taking care of your team member as they take care of what's going on in your business. So that really makes for a home run. Now, if you have that in place or a version of it, my recommendation would be straight up recruitment or placement, because recruitment also takes a lot of time. And it also takes a different skill to find and hunt these people who are going to be a great fit for your company, doing more creative background checks, more creative referencing, and testing. Especially with AI right now, a lot of people kind of cheat on their tests. So how can recruiters stay ahead? So if a company has HR in the sense of they have someone taking care of payroll, benefits, upskilling, and development, but they need extra muscle in terms of recruitment, they want to cast a wide net, then I would say that would be the best time to go with a recruiter.
I feel like a lot of us entrepreneurs, we're like Scrappy. We think we can do everything, and we think we can save money by basically just doing it ourselves. What do you tell people who show up who have like a 5-person team, they've got no HR in place, but they're trying to save money? I mean, that's why they're trying to outsource in the first place.
I know it's a difficult trap to be in. And in one way or another, we've all been there, right? We try to do everything. I've been to hundreds of sales calls, hundreds of conversations with people who are having their first hire or their 100th hire. And the deep issue, honestly, is a deep sense of not deserving support. So, probably not the answer everyone wants to hear. It's not about a problem in delegation. It's not about whether they've found the right way to automate or eliminate or whatever. I think it is really knowing in your heart, what do you really deserve? Do you deserve growth? Do you deserve what it takes to get to the next level in your business? Do you feel like you deserve to be helped? I noticed that a lot of people actually struggle with that, especially female business owners.
Why do you think that is?
I think it is a lot of problems, probably growing up in a difficult household or growing up poor. For me, I grew up poor. And in my earlier businesses, I tried to do everything. I have a 17-year-old flower shop that we've grown into a franchise in the Philippines. We have multiple locations now. This is why I'm always in the Philippines every February, Valentine's Day, our Super Bowl.
I see.
But in the past, I used to insist to do everything. I would arrange the flowers. I would get the payment. I would deliver the flowers because I wanted the flowers to still look good when they get to the recipient. And I just insisted on doing that. And I had these beliefs of, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. But as I processed basically how I was feeling, and the way that I was hiring in the past was also wrong. I think I would always go for like the cheapest option, or I would forgive someone too often if they did something wrong. I'd be like, let's try again. I brush a lot of problems under the rug. And I think it was because I was just feeling a deep sense of maybe I don't deserve support, or I don't feel like a boss, some version of that.
Do you ever meet somebody who grew up in a really empowered, wealthy situation, and even the way they like operate in restaurants is different? They feel like they can demand the best out of everybody. Like, a lot of us are motivated to entrepreneurship because we felt like we didn't have enough money. And now when the money starts coming in on the revenue side, we might not always handle it the best way.
I think it's a bit of different things. One side of it is demanding high standards. So for me, I demand high standards because I work very hard to get where I am right now, and I won't be able to do that without high standards. And so I expect it from other people. I've also met people who grew up super privileged, and they demand the most out of other people because they're just so used to it, and they deserve it. And there's just no other reality in their world. So there's like kind of two sides of the coin.
There's a lot of recruiting firms popping up around, and the space has gotten busier. And I'm curious, is this like a supply constrained business or a demand constrained business? Like, how did you happen into it? Is the hardest part bringing in clients, or is the hardest part finding the great people that can fulfill the roles?
I think the harder part is finding great people to fill the roles. I don't know, maybe I'm a little biased because my strength is in marketing. I've always found it easy to dial it up and down in terms of, I want to be busier this year, I want to make more money, or I want to relax and kind of dial it down. I'm happy with 2 new clients a month or something like that. But my argument is that I would say finding great hires, there's just a lot of things you don't control. That's the thing. And even when you think you found the right person, there's still so many things that could fall through the cracks, or situations could change, right? I think right now the opportunity in the recruitment industry, it's still a little bit related to AI. A lot of people are probably like, I don't want to listen about AI anymore. But I think the opportunity is like for recruiters to be smarter using AI, of course, in their own processes, but also in testing really, really good candidates. I would say that would be the opportunity for growth. And then for companies as well, I would just love for them to really realize how worth it is to hire a recruiter, to hire help, to find you the right person that will help grow your business.
One of the reasons I called you today, Karla, is your marketing skill and your ability to ramp up and ramp down. And you helped us guide a marketing discussion down in Mexico. And I'm wondering if you could give us a sense for like what channels for acquisitions can you dial up and dial down? You mentioned ad spend, you use Facebook a lot, use in person a lot. I mean, I'm curious about you personally, what you guys do in order to get clients. And then more generally, what you're seeing amongst your peers in 2025 for B2B agencies especially.
I remembered that discussion meeting we facilitated at DCMex, and there were probably 10 people who shared what's working for them. All were doing seven figures, I think organically, which was pretty amazing. I'll share like the top three. I would say number one was Facebook groups. There was a couple, Elle and David Denning. They have also made seven figures organically through Facebook groups. They started in 2017, I think 2017, 2016. They really went hard on Facebook groups. So they did share that sometimes they run ads to the group to kind of increase the members, but the group is free, and then they just continue to deliver value. And then another thing that they shared is that sometimes the sales process is longer, but the people are super warm. So there are people that would see them for years and then they would just sign up, but there's no sales conversation. They're just ready to sign up. So that would be a benefit of doing that. Me personally, I do a lot of business on Facebook. That's also my main channel of growing to seven figures. But I have seen a lot of complementary features, very specific features. I recently delivered a class at Social Media Pro, and I shared updates on Facebook and how people can use Facebook organically. And my top things that I wanted to share was the improvement on the professional dashboard. So if people could check their own profile, your professional dashboard will actually tell you what to do next. It will tell you, you should comment on this. This is what you've been missing in the past few days. And then it will guide you onto what you could do next to really increase your reach. It will even suggest, why don't you make a reel today? Or something like that. Post a photo today. Oh, by the way, your text posts show 173% more engagement than your photos. Do that more. So this is amazing. This is a great development from Meta, from Facebook, because it is now your coach. And you can really, really just use it to your advantage. So I'm really excited about all these developments on Facebook. And Facebook also actually gives a lot of money to content creators now. So I've been getting checks from Facebook for a few months now. I can put that back into advertising on Meta if I want.
The big thing last year, everybody was talking about LinkedIn.
Right.
And everybody was like, I hate LinkedIn. It's like, when I quit my job, I quit LinkedIn at the same time. And it turns out that that was like a really interesting way to reach business owners. When a lot of us think of Facebook, we think of like CPG brands running ad campaigns. We don't necessarily think of B2B marketing on Facebook. And why do you think that's the case? And why is Facebook so important to your business?
Facebook offers a different layer of authenticity. Think about who's on your Facebook. Your exes, your high school bullies, your cousin who owes you money, that guy you hate at the golf course, your ex's ex, right? Everyone you hate and love is on there. For me, people are real on Facebook. That's where they post their engagements. That's where they post even their breakups, even their business breakups, right? That's where they post their babies, their gender reveals. And I love that. I love that because I can be human again. I'm not going to hate on LinkedIn, but the reason why I love Facebook is the same reason why I love DC over other conferences. People are human, people are real, and I enjoy that more. But I've had some wins on LinkedIn, don't get me wrong, but it's only because I've used the same principles that I use on Facebook, which is still circled around authenticity.
It's not always like advertisements for your business on Facebook. We are putting yourself top of mind as a founder. And then people are like, I wonder what Karla's up to. They start to talk about it, and you're getting indirect leads through that.
Yeah. And not just that, it's referrals too. So in the customer journey of buying from you online, It's know, like, and trust. People take a lot of time to decide if they like you. So you got to work hard on that. And I'm going to admit, being a girl, it's probably easier for me to be liked compared to a guy. And so I just kind of remember that and think about what are parts of my personality that I think would attract my ideal client. But also at the same time, if you want to really think about marketing, disqualify people I don't want to work with.
Interesting. All right. So the second channel tip you've got.
Yes. Number 2, Jason Long really shared a good point about trade shows. So I feel like we're going back here more.
We're going
years
back in time. Yeah, I love this.
Hashtag throwback. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm probably going to talk about radio ads as number 3 just to shock you.
And billboards. We're going to get to billboards here.
Billboards, cinema ads, by the way. Cinema ads are great ROI. But so Jason Long talked about trade shows. And he said that one of the strategies they did that really, 400% their revenue or something like that. It was an insane amount of growth, but they hosted industry podcasts at trade shows. So they would basically put a podcast booth at trade shows, and then they would interview the people who owned the booths or the business owners, which are their target clients. Initially, they bought space, and the people who hired them are like the sponsors of the podcast. But the podcast is named as the industry. So so for example, if it was of the insurance industry, it would be like insurance champions or something. We're going to interview top insurance agents and ask them what's working in their business. That's something they would do. They would interview these people 15, 20 minutes. They give them the spotlight. And basically, they want to make them feel like a star. And then on the side, there's just their sponsor booth. And they're just sitting there. And then after that, the host will say, thank you. By the way, I want you to meet our sponsor. So, of course, now, they have that conversation with the leads, and they're warmer and they feel good after feeling like a rock star and after being interviewed. So I thought that was an awesome strategy. I would say the average cost for that will probably be about at least $15K. I used to do trade shows in Vegas, set up, right? Flights. If you have to buy a sponsorship space, that might also be a factor. But another hack that you can do is you can email the conferences or the conventions and apply as a media partner. So if you do that, you actually get usually a very big discount, or they might give it to you for free. And that's also something that you could do.
That's really cool. So you can essentially call it the ICP podcast strategy. You can come up with a whole brand package with a podcast trailer. Now you've got 10 ICPs on your show. You've got video. Now you can re-promote your ICP. So even if they don't convert, people like them will see that content, connect with each other.
Exactly.
Eventually they're going to come back to you. That's really cool. One little tip about podcast hack. There's a DCer who has a pre-roll to his YouTube podcast where he has a makeup artist doing his makeup before the camera rolls. And the takeaway is you must be really important if you have somebody sort of
like a positioning thing.
Like a set. Yes. Super clever. There's people running around in the background.
Yeah.
This is a big deal to be on this show.
I mean, I'm surprised why you don't have makeup on this podcast, Dan. I'm pretty disappointed after learning that.
I'm in my spare
bedroom. Are you even
bedroom.
important?
I am definitely not. Okay, that's a great one. Number 2, fantastic. Vis-a-vis Jason Long. What about your number 3?
Number 3, Jordan Carroll shared a very good point about positioning. And Jordan does a lot of work around LinkedIn and LinkedIn growth through brand positioning. And, a lot of people talk about reach, impressions on posts on LinkedIn. But what Jordan shared was something different, and it is commenting thoughtfully on high impression posts by maybe bigger brands and really making a really good impression on that thread. So You know how on LinkedIn, when you comment, there's like your name and then there's a very brief one-liner about you or a brief bio. And that's like your opportunity to tell people who you are. And then after that, if you have like a very thoughtful comment on the topic that's being discussed, that is a very positive thing. And he said that that helped him grow his business and his client's business, even if he comments on 10 meaningful threads a day.
Interesting.
So I accidentally did this a few months ago. I don't know if you know Sam Parr of My First Million.
Yeah.
So he posted something about recruitment, and someone tagged me, and I answered a pretty long answer, very detailed answer. In my head, I was just like typing and trying to help people, but I got 3 appointments from that one comment, and very, very good appointments. Yeah. And I just remember that when Jordan shared that, I did that like months ago. And Jordan said, especially now, there's AI services that comment on LinkedIn posts that are so cheesy and it's just super basic. And it's AI. So writing thoughtful replies that are pretty long, like 3 paragraphs or something, he said that really worked.
So if I love these tips because it's kind of like the obvious is like post more, like blah, blah, blah. But what all these tips are like finding these little arbitrages of like things that other people aren't quite willing to do, require a little bit of elbow grease for the first few times, but all can be systematized and done regularly.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
If you were to, for example, if I was like, okay, we want to double proximity next month, we got to like ramp up the marketing. Would you do this like personalized campaign on Facebook and just start sharing more about your life? Or do you have other levers? You mentioned ads. I think ads are so interesting because such a small percentage of the DC has cracked the ad game, even though so many of us have high ticket offers. I'm curious as to if you have any sense for why DCers are so hesitant to go into ads.
I have a theory. I think that a DCer personality is just we like the dirty work, doing the dirty work. I think a lot of DCers are very creative, have a very like, I'm going to learn it myself, I'm going to do it myself, first kind of attitude. And we love experimenting on things. But I think that's also because we often give ourselves permission to fail. That's why I love like the DC energy so much. And if you know these people of crack ads, I would love to be introduced to them. Maybe they'll make it work for me. But we've tried a couple of times and it just has never beaten organically. But I'll share something in between, actually. I've experimented. One of my mentors also told me, why don't you just boost your posts? Just boost it. I think that is a very good experiment to do. Dennis Yu, for a long time, has been talking about his $1 a day campaign on Facebook. And he said that if you're getting traction on your organic posts, why don't you just boost some of them $1 a day and see what you get? And it's basically just training, the Facebook algorithm on who should see your content. If you're targeting certain states, certain locations, that will train Facebook into showing your content to more people in that area in a similar demographic. And last thing I really want to share is I also notice a huge trend right now of really going back to super, like, I would say hyper authenticity, for lack of a better term. If you notice the big accounts of Elena Grant Cardone, the Hermosis, they're all sharing personal stuff again. Look at their accounts in the past few weeks. They're talking about where they first met, their first date. They're posting pictures in the past, their marriage. Ryan Pineda's talking about how often he dyes his hair, things like that. If I want to dial it up, that's what I would do. That's actually what I'm doing. I hired a whole content team like 4 weeks ago, and we're working on my stuff now.
Interesting. They must have all gone to a conference and talked about this. Because like it's funny how you see these like little micro trends, but they are opportunities. Like I think the boosting of popular stuff in that like phase is really underrated because it might not turn into appointments this week, but over time, it's a really interesting way to like grow your network and get people into your orbit.
and it's inexpensive. And at the end of the day, if you do good work, if you have a lot of really good success stories, it's gonna be an easy yes, honestly. Last thing, Reddit is a dinosaur right now.
What's going on with Reddit?
So 90% of organic search dropped, right, from Google. Now they're on ChatGPT or other LLMs. So what these AI platforms, for lack of a better term, AI platforms pick up are different types of content. It's not exactly the same content that Google picks up. And since most of the search happens there, people are shifting their content strategy on podcasts, YouTube, and Reddit, and their own website. So I would say technical SEO on your site is still very important, but you need to be publishing content again, like real content, not AI written content on your own website. Podcasts is also very good. The LLMs pick it up. YouTube also, I'm also investing in YouTube right now, and Reddit. And once again, if you look at the trend, it's all authenticity. So I've also seen agencies pop up that only do Reddit reputation management. So it's pretty crazy.
Amazing. That made me think of there's like a handful of these technical SEO guides going around right now in the DC where people are like reformatting their domain content to get picked up by these LLMs. Like, how do we structure this content? It's pretty fascinating. Like, some people are cracking the code. Like, this is how you're going to get mentioned over these other articles, which AI deems as lower quality.
Yeah, exactly. So, and honestly, the good thing about that is you can ask ChatGPT about it. Hey, I want to show up more. Well, what do I do? You can just ask ChatGPT. You don't need to pay like a consultant.
With all this stuff, where do you rank in person relative to all this?
Well, that is in the realm of relationships. So that's definitely a long game. And I've been in that situation where I gambled my last $5,000 going to a conference and praying that I'll get one client out of it. And it's not a good experience. I did actually get a client from it, just one client. And it was because we were drinking at the bar late at night. And I said a joke that was just so funny. And then I told him, I'm going to buy that domain for you. It was just like a joke. And then the next day I bought him the domain and it made him laugh. And so it was the relationship. Unfortunately, 5 years after, he became a very big brand, millions of followers now, but he turns out he was a scammer. So that was not a fairy tale at all. But I would say in person is still pretty much up there. But I would also say that the in-person works better for finding affiliates, not clients, but people who will refer you, who like being around you and like introducing people to you. I think that is the play.
This is really fascinating. So this is one of your Karla-isms. Okay. And I want to emphasize this point because I've heard it time and time again. And you see the results when people go to like ICP conferences versus ally conferences. And what I keep hearing is like the ally conferences are so much better ROI because in a way, if I had to interpret it, I'd say you're scaling your energy. So one of the things you've talked about is that what you want is like 10 industry friends that you swap referrals with. So tell me a little bit about how people could employ that strategy.
Yeah, I love that because that's how a lot of my super fast growth came to my business. And I would say industry friends are, for our listeners, these are people in the industry who also have good names, good reputation, good services that are complementary with what you're offering, but they're not your direct competitor. So rule number 1, don't forget to give. Don't be stingy. Give them referrals too, right? Introduce people to them as well. In fact, if you do it before they can do it, that's so much better because you're putting kind of like equity in it. You're depositing in the emotional bank account. You're not always withdrawing. And 10 industry friends who will always refer people to you. These are the people that you keep in your circle, the people that you're building your own mastermind, actually, without even having to formalize it. And that's what I like. You also help each other out. And even if it's something negative, like you feel like this person hired someone and you know that that someone is a scammer, tell them, have their back. So these are just small things. It's literally just kind of like friendship, but professionalized. You're helping each other out, but it's very, very powerful because, of course, one good industry friend or affiliate can give you 10 to 20 clients. And then to formalize it, of course, and you can talk to a consultant about it because I'm not going to call myself an expert on this, but you can also design a very good and a very rewarding affiliate program, commission, bonus, setup, whatever you want to call it.
It's like a cabal. Like there's a scale on both sides because, you have that last $5,000 and you're thinking, which event do I go to? If you go to the customer event, it's like you're trying to skip to trust. But when you go to the cabal conference, the affiliate conference, it's sort of like, well, we have plenty to talk about. We're in the same boat. Like we have the same challenges. We're looking for the same types of people. We're dealing with the same types of clients. And so now already you've like doubled your visibility, maybe doubled your book by just having like a good relationship with one person at that conference because they have the same clients that you do, but maybe different. Same type of clients.
And there's no pressure in those conversations because you're not trying to sell them anything, really.
Right.
I would say energetically, my energy in that gambling my last $5,000 was very bad. I never made an effort to even meet industry friends because I was just so focused on, oh my God, I got to find a customer. I got to find a paying client. I really need this money right now. Compared to some of the events where yes, I needed the money, but I changed my focus. And I think that's also my mistake in ads. I think looking back after spending multiple 5 figures in ads last year, I would say if I probably ran an ad to attract more industry friends or JV partners, maybe that would have been a better ROI.
What is a remarkably simple business process, concept, or mindset that you've employed in your business that's had a remarkable or interesting return?
It's probably not super remarkable, but I'm very, very concerned about really taking care of your name and your reputation.
Okay.
I would rather refund a client than have a bad review. Because I can find that money again. But the relationship, I always want to take care of that. After the pandemic and after shifting from fully physical businesses to online, and even moving to a different country, starting a whole new business in a different country. When I moved to the US, my business was actually an events company in Vegas. And I started that company the later part of 2019, not knowing that 2020, the pandemic would hit. So I was in the worst business, in the worst place. And I had no idea like where to go. So I had to shift from being the events girl, and I did some copywriting jobs on the side, to going all in on outsourcing. And it was just basically because I had an investor who came to me and said, hey, can you make this work? And I was just like, I'll make it work because I didn't have any money. But doing those shifts in my business, one thing that has always proven beneficial to me was having a good name and a good reputation. I also don't want people listening to feel like someday they could be blackmailed into a refund or anything. Like, I'm going to write a bad review about you. But if you have some bad reviews, try to fight it back if they're being super unreasonable. If you can refund it, honestly, if you use your credit card to refund it, once again, as long as it's not super unreasonable or they're being a real jerk to you, just do it because you can find that money again. Try to save the business and the reputation. And in the future, once you start doing big things, like right now, my husband and I are doing real estate investments. We're even delving into real estate development, and we're trying to make like big moves, right? So doing these deals, finding these deals, being introduced to certain people, we always carry our name with us. So it has helped me also do investments and be way beyond the business. So it's not super revolutionary.
No, I think that's great. I mean, that's what you opened your like business advice presentation with. Like, this is like your most important principle is hang out with the right people, have like a stellar reputation, do the right things, because like this is a long-term investment is the way I interpret it. I mean, one of the things that jumps out about your story to me is that like you've like classic entrepreneur, like a gazillion ideas flying all around. Like, why don't you just focus on the outsourcing company? So it's kind of like two questions in one. Why have a portfolio going instead of all in focus? And like, for those that are thinking about pivoting or coming up with their first idea, what is the framework that works for you to come upon good business ideas?
So I think that why I have many things going on is I love exploring the fullness of the human experience, as cheesy as that sounds.
All right. You're justifying it because you're an entrepreneur. You want to do it. And so you have to have a grand narrative around
and I'm a copywriter. I'll always have the right words to say. So and that sounds better than, I can't focus or something. Just kidding. I actually have no problems with focus, but I would say I like exploring things. I'm fascinated by different things, but I'm also very realistic and I know where my strengths are. And I think that's where the balance should be. I love my flower shop because it is a good kind of a handcrafty thing, but also because the profits are amazing. I mean, you're a guy, you know this, you go to Walmart, dozen roses is $20, but you get delivered to your wife, it's $60. And
I wish it were $20. Yeah.
And then I like my events company because I like working with corporations and planning their launches. That's what really like made my brain excited. I got these big brands asking me, how can we launch this? And I did old school stuff, right? Like I did radio ads, billboard. I was planning these launches. That was really exciting to me. And then, the pandemic happened. I had this teeny tiny VA recruitment agency that was making $2,000 a month. And I've owned it for a while, but I just never really focused on it. And I had an opportunity to grow it. So the diversification is basically kind of a hedge against each other, like against, risks. And a next pandemic could come and I don't know, one industry could be down right now. So for me, it's always good if you have the opportunity, if you have the means to diversify, of course, do that. And on your next question, sales always comes first. What is the easiest for you to sell? What is the easiest for you to sell? What is the most frictionless, seamless way for you to sell something that doesn't need a lot of convincing, that doesn't need a lot of marketing power? And that's why I chose flowers first. I know I'll always have a sale every Valentine's Day, every Mother's Day, every birthday, every guy who F's up has to say sorry or things like that. I know I'll make money somewhere in these repetitive life experiences, right? Everything was repetitive. Birthday, Valentine's Day. So I'll know I'll have a business for a very long time. And that's something that will never, ever change. And then the events, the way I entered that space is I was an MC. And then I just asked myself, who makes the most money out of this event is the event planner. So because I was the MC and it was easy for these companies to trust me, they've seen my face, I was in a great position to sell them on something else. And then outsourcing, it was pretty easy. When people learn I'm Filipina, they say, help me find a VA. That's how it started. So I would say it was easy for me because I chose where it would be easy for me. And there's always an easy thing for someone to sell.
I like that. The duh idea. Like, what's duh? So many of us trying to make things clever and complicated because we're curious about it. But I like the concept of like, get money in now. And then like, that's going to be your oxygen to be sustainable and creative and continue to do it in the future. The hundreds of sales calls, you've got your reps in. What works? What doesn't? So many of us, like a lot of the listeners to this show, we're like focused on getting appointments, we're marketing our appointments, but what happens when you get on the phone? How do you get the phone call into money in the bank account?
I would say preparation definitely helps. Don't be cocky. It doesn't matter if you've done hundreds of sales calls, you still have to prepare. Try to spend that last 5 minutes before the call going to the client's website, trying to find out what their industry needs, what are the common concerns. Go on Facebook to find out what this person is like, what do they like. I've closed a lot of sales just because the guy golfs. And then we talk about that for a little bit, and then there's rapport. So the rapport is not, hey, where are you based? How's the weather? Oh, I've been there. Have you been to this restaurant? It's so cheesy, right? I think the rapport is more of, I understand you. I understand your industry, something like that. So whatever you can add to the conversation of, whatever rapport they're also trying to start with you, that always helps. And then act like a friend, not a salesperson who really cares about the lead, about the prospect. Lead with curiosity. I don't believe in objections because I think they're just bridges to whatever the issue is. So if someone is giving you an objection, oh, it might be too expensive for me. What do you mean? This is the best. That line is one of the best objection handling lines out there. Just saying, what do you mean? I have to ask my wife, oh, what do you mean? Just curious, is she a part of your business? I totally respect, I have a spouse too. I totally respect that. And kudos to you, by the way. So that's something I would say. Don't ever make your lead feel small. Make them yearn about the possibility. I would say that's really important. And before I end the call, I always paint the paradise, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it's one line, if they're rushing to leave the call, as long as you get in a line in there that talks about what the future is like when they work with you. So for me, in recruitment, in outsourcing, I will say something unique to our call and our conversation too. So I would say something like, well, you know what, Dan, once we hire that operations manager for you, you can just spend a lot more time with your kid. And, oh, I know a great Montessori place near you. I'm going to send it to you after this call. Something like that. But like, it should be something positive, but ties your solution to that future.
Well, you have a simple framework. You were like, who do you help? What do you help them with? What kind of pain are you taking away? And then you said, what is your guarantee? I'm curious, how important are guarantees to closing deals for you?
So I always say on our call, yes, we have an upfront payment of X amount that covers recruitment and onboarding. And you will meet the top 3 candidates. You interview them. Typically, you like one of them. If you don't like any of them, just let us know. We can continue looking. Or honestly, if they all suck, just tell me, hey, Karla, they suck. Just give me my money back and I'll give you your full refund. It doesn't matter how much work my team has put in it. What really matters to us is your experience. That's the exact line I say. And that always, I can feel them relax after that. And let me tell you, in 8 years, I have probably processed less than 20 refunds.
That's fantastic. Could you give us some of your thoughts around business partnerships? You've written publicly about a failed business partnership. What did you do wrong? And what is your advice in general for founders when they're formulating potential partnerships?
Yeah. So that was a very kind of a difficult reckoning. But I would say choosing a business partner was actually more sacred than I thought. I accepted a business partner because I needed the money and the mentorship. And I got both, actually. I learned a lot. And I owe a lot to my business partner also. But I would say that sometimes when you go into business with someone, you tend to think that all they are to your life is business. But actually, your business partner contributes influences in your personal life too. So my main advice would be, if you see some attitude, integrity, red flags in your business partner, definitely discuss it right away. Share how you feel and do not brush it under the rug. I think my mistake was brushing it under the rug for a long time. And then when I realized that they also effed me over, I had no one to blame but myself. And honestly, forgiving myself was a longer process than forgiving that business partner or forgetting what happened to us. And that caused me a lot of traumatic episodes. I would have nightmares about it. It was insane. But then looking back, now that I've healed from it, it's like the writing was on the wall. It was so obvious that I would get betrayed in that partnership. And if you don't need it, maybe don't do it. Right now, if I need money, I would probably just go to the bank. I would just go to the bank and not owe a friend.
Yeah, it's almost like it's so intense and such a big deal that if you see a red flag, like forget about the discussion. Just like move on.
Yeah.
Because if you have a red flag in the early going, it's just going to get worse. And, I recently spoke with a group of founders who were talking about how hard it's going to be in the early days because, we don't have any money yet, but we're going to make it work. And then when we get to this level, it's going to be great. And I'm like, oh no, it just gets worse. Trust me. Like, and there's some great literature about this that like, okay, now it's a lot of money. So it really matters. So now people really get inflamed. And then it gets worse when it becomes generational. And it's like, now my kids want the money too. And like, there's team members and the team members get fractions. Certain team members support this person, certain team members. So it actually does not improve, which is a little bit counterintuitive. It's like, man, things are really tough now, but someday, we'll buy a nice car and we'll ride off into the sunset. It's like, no, you will argue about the car. That's what's going to happen.
Well, another thing that I've also learned from one of my mentors is plan the divorce. It's like before you enter a partnership, plan how you're going to break up, have some sort of a prenup, a business version of a prenup, so that if something happens, then both of you know where you stand. If you do break up, I think that's reasonable.
Why do you love golf?
Ooh, I love golf because I am just trying to be the last version of me, the latest version of me. And it's a great sport. I can play alone. I can play with someone. And I think you learn a lot from someone by playing golf with them. And one of my husband and I play golf. One of the rules that we have is if someone cheats at golf, don't do business with them. We've played with someone who was like, okay, what was your score? And he was like, bogey. And we both, my husband and I looked at each other and we were like, no, that was a 7. And we were just like, oh, we're never doing business with that guy. Yeah.
I think golf has a little bit of a bad brand.
From the drinking?
No, I think just from the elitism.
Ah, I see.
It's in different countries, there's different brands around golf. And so I'm always just curious, like, I think the golf course is also such like a career positive place. Like everybody's like, hey, what do you do? Like, and if people talk about like, whereas like in a lot of other social interactions, like cycling, for example, it's kind of off limits. It's not actually cool to talk about what you do. You talk about bikes. So I think that's another interesting thing about the golf course for people who are curious. Also, you can improve until you're 70 and beyond. I was thinking about it because I'm training for cycling now. I love cycling, but like fitness is like fleeting. So there's like maybe a poetry to that. But every round of golf that you play will give you something that you can take forward in your skill and improve it.
There's a great marketing kind of a metaphor too with golf, which is like, you just tap in. One stroke will lead you just closer and closer to the hole or something like that. But like in marketing, it's like, what is the shortest distance or what's the best way you can get to your customer? And sometimes you don't know, you're going like the wrong way at it. You're looking like the wrong way. It's like a golf. Oh, should I lay up? Should I do this? Should I go for it? Should I use this club or whatever? There's so many decisions, but actually sometimes it's easier than you think. And that's why those authenticity thing is going back, because it is a straight shot to being in the mind of your being customer.
Take that aim. Playa del Carmen, where you're joining us from today, became a like it kind of asserted itself as an entrepreneurial hotspot during the pandemic. I'm curious if you could give us a sense for the pros and cons of basing yourself as an entrepreneur there in 2025.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So Playa del Carmen is in the middle of Cancun and Tulum, which are known for partying and activities that are not church friendly. But I'm going to call it that. But Playa del Carmen has a little bit of that brand too. But what I've noticed is that this is very common actually. When people start to get more serious with their business or they want a family, they move to Playa del Carmen. We have some really good kind of gated communities, schools, international schools, a lot of access to nannies, bilingual nannies, chefs, and pet sitters, things like that, services. It really makes it convenient. I would say this is a great hub if you own a location-independent business and you're looking to meet entrepreneurs from a very diverse kind of background. I'm not going to lie about the cons. So, cons, it's super hot and humid from June to September. I'm lucky I grew up in the Philippines, so it's pretty tropical, but I am suffering. I don't leave my house before 6 p.m. or I stay indoors as much as I can because it's just so humid. It's difficult. Be careful because of how open Playa is. You also maybe have to be careful if you're new here. Maybe some people will try to not like steal from you or anything, but like try to use you for maybe like a business intro or they might not be as trustworthy. Have more discernment with the people about the people that you meet, do business with. I think that's mostly it. It's a great hub. And if you come from a more developed country like the US, Canada, UK, be prepared to experience a little bit of slowness. It's just people are more relaxed here. There's definitely not a hustle culture. So your patience might be tested, but there's just a little bit of adjustment there.
How much would it cost to like rent an apartment that has like 2 or 3 bedrooms with a pool access? And then how much would it cost to rent one of those nice gated homes with, 4 bedrooms or whatever?
So I would say 2-bedroom in Central with security, with a pool, with a gym, and a receptionist that can take your Amazon packages and your food deliveries and all of that. I would say that would range from $1,800 to $2,500 for 2-bedroom in Central. If you're outside of Central, outside of the walkable part, central part of Playa del Carmen, you could probably save $300 to $500. And then I would say a nice 3-4 bedroom with great amenities. That would be from $2,500 to as high as probably $7,000. Maybe that would be like the 4-bedroom with great amenities. And then plus $500, very likely if you have an ocean view.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's great. I appreciate that information. And what I understand is a lot of people really like the services. Not all the prices in PDC are as low as you'd expect, but the services seem to be. So if you want to take advantage of childcare, private education, if you want to get a gym coach, all that kind of stuff.
That's really where the savings is. Even if you want a personal driver, that wouldn't be unreasonable, honestly. If you have a lot of trips like that. Personal assistants, some of us in DC have shared some assistants, nannies, very specialized health services like IVs, lymphatic drain massage, like things like that. Some fascial release, whatever these special massages are. Like you can get that pretty affordably in Playa. Everything under $50. That was the tagline.
Karla, we are opening up registrations for DCBKK on Tuesday. And since you've done hundreds, if not thousands of sales calls, I'm wondering if you can help me deliver a sales pitch. Like from your perspective, who would be the right type of person to take a week out of their year and fly to Bangkok? And what are they going to get out of it?
Ooh, I love DCBKK. First of all, Bangkok, Thailand is a great city. So iconic. It's like the New York of Asia, but so much better, so much friendlier people.
Better
Let's
food,
start with that.
better price.
Better food, better price. Actually had my joint bachelorette party in Bangkok. And last year was the only DCBKK I missed because I had my wedding. And it was so busy. So, but I think that if you're a business owner and you're looking to take a week off, because you know you deserve it, you want a vacation, but also learn from people that are doing the stuff in their business. They're not just thinking about it or talking about it. If you value conversations that really make you think about where the next step will be in your business, I think that's my favorite thing about meeting people in DCBKK and DCMAX. The people that I meet just help me think better. And I think as a CEO or the founder of your business, that means a lot. Warren Buffett said that the job of the CEO is to make good decisions. And I think that's what I really, really love going to places like this. And, you know, the DC team always throws a great party. They always go above and beyond. I don't even know how you guys make money from these events. Maybe you should have a tip box. You should have a tip box at the entrance. My event planner brain would always be computing whatever you guys are doing. But yeah, it's always enjoyable. And some of the people that you meet, the friendships that you'll make are worth many times over whatever you pay. And it's not even much. It's like, what, $800?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Bad. It's a good price.
You guys have spent way more on the wrong people.
Karla, let us know where our audience can track you down on the web and how they can learn more about your business.
Well, since I talked about it a lot, find me on Facebook. Karla Stefan Singson is my name on my personal profile, or my Instagram, Karla Stefan, KarlaStefan. Add me, message me if you're a DCer. I would love to meet you, of course. And if you're curious about joining DC, let me know, ask me. I'm going to tell you everything about it. And if you're curious about hiring managerial talent, if you have tried to do it yourself, but you just run into issues, we would love to help you out, answer your questions. Book a call at proximityoutsourcing.com. Ask for me so that you can get me. And I'm super excited to just meet everyone, especially listeners of this amazing podcast. Thank you, Dan.
Awesome, Karla. Thanks for being on the TMBA podcast.